Hi there, my bookish friends. This is Joan. I'm here to update you on what I read in April. And I did talk about some of the books I read along the way with an April week, I think in a weekly update. So it looks like I read 13 books in April. And I've talked about some of them. I actually had 5 more that I started in April, but I didn't finish. So I'll have those carry over into May. So the first book that I finished was Tom Lake. And I think I talked about this a little bit. I really didn't want to finish it. I was very into it for the first half and was excited about what was going to come. And then the second half sort of just fell flat. And I did listen to it on audio, and I did have a hard copy. I listened to it on audio, and it is read by Meryl Streep. So in my head, the character became Meryl Streep. I don't know. It was, I don't know if that's, more of a reflection on me, or it just, my friend said she had the same reaction, and she just didn't finish it. So I did finish. It wasn't my favorite. Maybe, I don't know, 2 stars. I liked it okay. It could have been better. I liked the first half though. So maybe, yeah, I don't know, 2.5. So the next book I read was for book club, and it's called The Lies We Leave Behind. And I did go over that one in a weekly update. But basically, it's a World War II romance novel. Dual timeline, dual perspectives, and William, I think that was his name, he is in the present time, and then I don't remember the girl's name, Kate. Most of the story is told through the World War II timeline from Kate's perspective. It wouldn't be a book I would pick up. And quite frankly, right now I'm having a little World War II fatigue. I've been reading a lot of historical fiction, and it seems like most of the historical fiction writers don't seem to realize that history has happened outside of World War II. Now, I know there are books out there, and I just haven't found them yet. I have one over here somewhere. I've seen this movie, so I got the book. There's a couple that I know are historical fiction. I probably shouldn't have my head back there. Anyway, there's a couple that I know are historical fiction that are not World War II, but it does seem to be the most prevalent. And that was also kind of a 2. It's not really my cup of tea, but if you were on the beach and on vacation or whatever, it would be a good book for that. So No Two Persons, I also reviewed in one of those videos, and that was a book about the birth of a novel, how the writer kind of came to write it, and then it goes to the first reader who then likes it and pushes it on to the person at the publishing house that makes the decision whether to publish a book or not, and then subsequently to the readers and how it impacted them. I liked that book. Great cover. I wish it had tied together a little better, but I liked it, for sure. So that was like a 3. The next one was called The House Girl. I also reviewed that in that weekly update. I was disappointed with The House Girl because it was such a great premise, and I was really plugged in and enjoying most of the book. And then it felt at the end, so the premise is about it's dual timeline, dual perspective. The modern day perspective is a woman named Lena. She's a young attorney, and the office that she works for, they want a plaintiff for a reparations law case. she also happens to be the daughter of a famous artist. And her mother died when she was young. And so because of that, she is at a gallery with her dad, and they're showing these paintings from the Civil War era that had been held in private collection. And they're attributed to the owner of the slave, the woman, you know, not the man, but the wife of the man who owned the slave. And the slave, in this case, she was the house girl. And so there is suspicion now in modern day that it was not the slave owner who painted them. Her name was Luann Bell, but it was the house girl, Josephine. So then Lena is attempting to see if Josephine had any living descendants. And then, you know, it kind of ties together. It's a great idea. And I felt like it deserved such a better ending. It got very lazy and somehow wrapped up miraculously in a 50-page in the book letter. And I just thought, I don't think that would happen. And the detail in which it was written, I don't know. It just felt, I would probably read one of her books because I really did like the writing. I would give her another shot. I'd give her one more shot to see if the ending's not lazy the next go. So, you know, I liked the book, but I think my disappointment was greater because she's a good writer. So, Wolf at the Table, I also kind of reviewed that. I had picked that book up and then got halfway through it, and then I stopped reading it. And then I picked it back up and I finished it. And I had put it down because there's a lot that goes on. There's some mental health issues and serial killer, and you know, it's kind of heavy duty. Adam Rapp is a great writer, so the writing is good. And, you know, I liked the book. It didn't pan out. Like, for me, it's all about not that I want all of my expectations met, but if there's this, you know, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good, and then it drops off, then you're disappointed. Whereas if it's not so good, and then it gets better and there's a payoff at the end, then I tend to have enjoyed the whole process more. So the next book that I read in April was called The Reading List, and I loved it. I loved the book. I love that it's about reading and about discovering the joys of reading at a young age and at an older age, and what that can do and bring community together. And it's a great book, and I'll do another video just on that, but I have mentioned it before and I want to say it now. So then the next book I read was called Ordinary Grace, and that was a book club selection, and I gave that 5 stars. I can't stop thinking about it. I love the characters. The story unfolds. If you saw the movie Stand By Me, it's very reminiscent of that tone. The same time, there's a lot of parallels in the book. The narrator is the kid, Frank, 40 years later. So very, very similar tone and tenor, beautifully written. A lot of, you know, there's a lot of death in it, like Stand By Me. More in Ordinary Grace, but so good. So good. I quickly ordered another book of his. The next book is called H is for Hawk, and I didn't finish this book. And I'm not sure why, other than, I may pick it up again, other than to say that it is not fast-paced. It's, you know, about raising a goshawk. And the part that I was really interested in was not so much the woman's story who's raising a goshawk and how that connects her to her dad, but she did a lot of studying this. And there was a person he's got initials and white. I'll put it up here, whatever. He wrote a book on raising a goshawk. And he is also the man who wrote the modern telling of King Arthur. And he wrote The Sword and the Stone, which then became the Disney movie. So I was interested in his story and his take on things. So I may pick it back up, but for now, I didn't finish it. The next one is Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore. So I went into this book thinking that it would be kind of like the reading list, fun and make you feel good, and about, people who go to the bookstore. I don't know what I thought. It is nothing like that. I mean, it takes place at a bookstore, but that's it. It's murder and mystery and suicide, and it was good. It was so good. I also ordered, that was his first book, the author, and he just published his second book, so I ordered it. And I have started it, but I'm just barely into it, so I can't say much. But I was shocked by how much I enjoyed that book. Okay, the next book that I read was for book club, and I talked about this before. I just said that I was reading it. The Berry Pickers. I can't remember if I gave this a 4 or 5 stars, as in I really loved it. And I do think about it. So it's somewhere in there. I was really anticipating liking this book, and it delivered 100%. It is about a family. I believe they're natives. They're Canadian, but native people. And they travel down to Maine every year as a family, a lot of kids, and they pick berries in the summer. And the dad is well respected by the owner of the berry farm. So the youngest girl, Ruthie, she's 4 this particular summer. And then her brother Joe is closest in age to her. And then there's, I think, Charlie. And then a sister and a brother. And I don't remember the names, but I should, because they were. So Ruthie goes missing. And the book then is told. Joe is most profoundly impacted. And of course the mother and father are as well. But it's really told, there's actually dual. I don't want to ruin and say too much, but the second chapter I was like, wait a minute. And I had to go back and reread some stuff just to make sure I was picking up what they're putting down. And I loved it for that kind of aha. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. I totally recommend it. Well written, great pacing, interesting, different. I loved it. It's so good. So that's nice, right? I had a lot of 2s, and then I got a couple of good ones in there. The next one I read is also a book club selection. 3 Days in June. This is a big, everybody's whatever. I didn't like it. I finished it, but it maybe it's just I don't know. I don't really like, I don't know. It felt like I was reading a book my mother would have written. My 84-year-old mom, who, and I do think she's probably about the age of my mom, but I didn't know that when I had that thought. But it just felt a lot like, so I come from a place where there's a lot of divorce, and my husband does. And it just felt like that's how she approached marriage. Like the women of that period. Not all women, I'm not saying, but in my experience. So, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know. I think the ending was fine, but I just was annoyed through it. And I'm sure there are people who love it. So if that's your thing, yay, you got a good book for you. But it was not my favorite. And I don't let go of books easily, but I am going to probably trade this or sell it because I don't want it. No, thank you. But it was a book club book, so I read it. The next one, I should only do the ones I think that I actually read. So the last one for April that I read was the book that everyone has read, and it took me forever. I've read two other, at the time I read this, I had read two other Kristin Hannah books. I had read The Women, that was the first one I read, and fantastic book. And then I read Four Winds. And I'm beginning to think that I liked Four Winds is not a happy book. But I'm liking it because I'm going back and I'm kind of reassessing because it's different. A lot of her early books, which I've now read several, are very similar. They're in the Pacific Northwest. There's some family issues, some alcoholism, sister drama, unhappiness, trying to figure it out. Kind of different scenario, but same kind of plot line, which is fine. I read two this weekend. I'm not saying they're bad reads, but Four Winds is different. And because of that, I think it kind of goes up in my book a little bit. But anyway, I read The Nightingale. I do want to say that I read a review. I had some issues with The Nightingale. It's a big book, and probably for the first, third, I was like, but that didn't make sense. How old was she here? When was this? That doesn't, there was some timeline, there was issues. And so I thought, am I being nitpicky? This was like best book of the year. Is there something wrong with me? So I go on Goodreads, and there is a review that I don't know how much time it took for this lady to write it, but it is more of a rant than a review, and it goes on forever. She really didn't like the book, and she doesn't think much of the writer. So I didn't read the whole thing because I don't want to put that much time into that much negativity. But she had some valid points, particularly pertaining to the beginning part. But what I will say is that I enjoyed the characters, one more than the other. And I really thought that the ending, the emotional payoff, was so good that I liked the book. I won't say I loved it. I will say that I liked it and I enjoyed it. And the ending made it worth it for me. Best book of the year? No way. Whenever this came out. And look, it says on here, soon to be a new motion picture. That motion picture ain't coming out. That has been 10 years in the works. And it has passed through different hands, through different, actors who, I think the Fanning sisters were originally attached. I don't know. Now they're too old. It's been a long time. The book's been out a long time, and I'm just, slow to whatever. So I also started To Kill a Mockingbird, which I read. But what I wanted to do was insert some books that I know are great, so that if I have some duds, I know I have something good. So I started To Kill a Mockingbird, I started Cold Mountain, I started A Gentleman in Moscow, I started Midnight in Soap Lake, which is the author's second book from the Midnight. So it's Matthew Sullivan's second book that just got published. He wrote this one that I really like, so I ordered Midnight in Soap Lake. and also Demon Copperhead, which I've tried to read before and I don't get very far. And I'm not getting very far. So I am having trouble. I will say this is interesting to me. I'm having difficulty engaging in Cold Mountain, A Gentleman in Moscow, and Demon Copperhead. Those, and I know that they're, and maybe because it's just a lot. Cold Mountain, I'm surprised, but it's an old audio. The author read it, and I kid you not, it's like from 1997 or something. He reads like, I don't know. This is the way he reads. He looked down at Sophie. She coughed all night. I could hear it. Sophie had gone still, frighteningly so. She'll get better. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small bottle. Here, this will help, I believe. And so there is no life in the reading. And that is hurting it because it's really beautiful. I should just put down the audio and go to, because it is painterly words, and he also has a command of the language to the degree with which it feels like it's of the time, but you know that it's not. You know, it's Civil War, if you don't know. So I don't know. I may lay it down. I carried it over to May, but I may lay it down and come back to it and just read from the actual physical copy and put the audio away. Anyway, that was a good April, right? I had 13 books. That's pretty good for me. And yeah, I'm reading from my little book journal that I've created so that I can remember what I liked and what I didn't like and what I thought of it. And so, oh, did I mention Harry Potter? Maybe I didn't add that. I should have. I did read Harry Potter. I didn't add that. So, 14 books. I reread Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I haven't read this since I was pregnant with my baby, my first one, in 1999. And oh my goodness, how much do I love that? So now I've picked up the Sorcerer's Stone. Let me just say, the audio on this is fantastic. Jim Dale he breathes life into it. And even if you've seen the film, my youngest, who I made him read all the Harry Potter books before he could watch the films. And he was like, that guy. I had it on in the kitchen while I was cooking it. And I don't know if he remembers it because I had played some of the audio with his older siblings. Anyway, Jim Dale. I wish he read more adult books. He's so good. Fantastic. One of my favorites. And I've picked up some children's classics for May just because of Jim Dale. So fun. Well, that's all I have for today. And that was a pretty fun wrap up. And I hope your April brought you some 5-star love books. And until next time, keep reading.